Okay, so hello and welcome everyone. I'm glad that we are here live. A little bit of a situation came up here. Got a little bit of a connection issues going on. Um, Giving talks and giving lectures to young people online, especially young men recently, and that's been a major joy and a real nourishing factor for my heart mind as of late. Um, so the way that this lecture and this event is going to go is that if you're here in the Discord server on the lecture platform, then you'll have an opportunity to raise your hand, come up to the stage and ask a question. And also the people who are tuning in through TikTok or the people who are tuning in through the YouTube live stream, you will be able to ask a question as well. It's okay if you type a question and you can ask it that way. And this lecture will also be recorded for later use, especially for the community of young men. Some of them like to come back later on and watch the recording lecture or listen to it as a podcast. So that will also be available and accessible. All right. So let's start out with the first person who can come up to the stage and ask their question, use their microphone. Make sure that your hand's raised, right? So that I know you're ready to come up and ask your question. And a major part of this practice is generosity, so that you are willing and ready to share, that you dare to ask the question, that you dare to use your microphone, that you dare to reach out. Okay? I'm originally from America, but currently living in Vietnam. And even more so, I come from the present moment, as we all do, right? We can say that there is a present moment. There is a present moment. And to touch that present moment, to contact the breath, the seeing, the hearing, the awareness of the body, and to listen to the seeing, to listen to the breathing, to listen to the body, to give our attention to these very important aspects of our experience without relying on thinking, is very much what the practice of meditation is about. So the first person who's going to come up to the stage is Crazed from Malaysia, 14-year-old from Malaysia. And Crazed, come on up and share a little bit and ask a question, okay?
Oh, wait, I have a question actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was discussing this event today. It was about what are the conditions to be better than else.
Your microphone's not coming through very clearly,
How-
Crazed, so maybe you can, I'm not sure if you're having a connection issue or what's going on.
Or then I type it in the chat.
Maybe just come a little bit closer to your mic and try again.
Okay, okay. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so how do you become better than someone, or you cannot be better than someone?
Okay, so the question is, how can we become better than someone else? Is that right?
Yeah,
All right. So there are three confusions in our social mindset or in our social perspective. The first is superiority, the second is inferiority, and the third is equality. You are not equal to anyone else. You are not superior or inferior to everyone else. What this means is that your present moment experience, in terms of who you are and your thoughts and your way of being, is just like a flower. It is unique and it is, by its nature, not the same as another flower. when we look at the deeper nature of the flower, we understand and we can see very, very clearly that the flower is the sunshine, that the flower is the rain, that the flower is the soil. Now, I know this can sound poetic or, like a hippie thing or, like a spiritual thing. And it does have those connotations to it, but actually, it's also literalistic. It is the literal case that we can point to a flower and say that's a flower, but when we do that, we are also pointing to the sun, the stars, the moon, the water, the soil, the earth. So when we look to other people as separate self entities, right, as separate flowers, as individual flowers, no, you are not better than them or less than them, and you are also not equal to them because there's this uniqueness, there's this quality of freshness to your present moment experience. And they also have this quality of freshness to their present moment experience that is beyond positives or negatives, beyond appearances, deeper than the appearance of it. So if we try to be better than someone else, or if we try to kind of find ourselves ruminating on being less than someone else, we're basically putting ourselves in a complicated psychological situation that's just not necessary. So the real way that we can start developing on the self-improvement journey is by stepping back from that outside looking, stepping back from that comparative looking. Now, we may be inspired by someone. We may have someone who's a teacher. We may have someone who helps guide us or inform us, but it's not that they're better than us or that we are less than them or that we are equal to them. It's that we see their flower. We see them as a flower. We appreciate it. And this helps us to see our flower, which we can also appreciate, the potentiality of the very nature of your being, the potentiality in this present moment experience. But that's not equal to other people, and it's not higher than other people, and it's not lower than other people. Actually, it is a matter of the truth. Actually, it is a matter of interbeing, interconnectedness. So that's a lot to digest, but actually we don't need to think through it. We don't need to attach to it. It's an invitation to open. It's an invitation to widen out. It's an invitation to step into this present moment experiencing and see where we go from here. Do you understand?
I've never thought about it that way.
But you got it, right? You understand, yes?
Yeah,
Yes? Okay.
yes.
So we understand or we take the medicine, we have the experience, and then we continue. We have the inspiration and then we continue. We have the tea and then we continue. It's not about getting attached to the idea or the view or the complicated thinking, but it's that we penetrate from this opening that is here. And it is an opening. It's not a new story aspect. It's not a new box that we put ourselves in, but it's an opening point, and then we penetrate into reality, into life, into doing good deeds, into present moment breathing, into doing what we should do more and more. All right?
All right.
All right, let's get you back to the audience. So we have a question that just came in through TikTok, and this is a donor. This is someone who makes some donations. So that's oftentimes the case, that the people will come to see the monk, bring a donation, and then, ask a question or share about their life or try to find out what the monk's involved with at that time. So Bob the Builder, I appreciate your generosity. And Bob says, what is a good way to reduce stress on the road as a trucker? Number one is the intention of being on the road as a trucker. A trucker is a caretaker. A trucker is someone who has a big responsibility for the society and also for the people on the road. You are taking what needs to be brought from one place to another place. And along the way, you are a beacon of mindfulness. You are a beacon of carefulness. You are a beacon of skillfulness. You need to be, because the road is a dangerous place. So recognize the responsibility and empower the intention. Okay, and that intention might just be related to the responsibility, but if you can have that intention to be even further back of like, why am I a trucker? Because I want to help people, then that is going to empower your work for sure, right? To be a trucker of generosity, to be a trucker of taking care. All right, this is really good, really important. Now, number two, mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of breathing. And when you have that time, when you have those break periods, instead of just going to the junk food, or instead of just going to the music or what have you, go to your breathing. Take some time to just take those deep breaths. And when you are trucking like that and being very concentrated for periods of time like that, your breath is really going to be rich and accessible, right? Mindfulness and present moment awareness is going to be rich and accessible to you. So you need to turn the mind inward at that break time and bring the mind home to the body. Okay. Now, the other aspect I want to kind of share with you is go to YouTube, and anyone can do this, and this will be helpful for anyone. Go to YouTube and search for Plum Village Songs. Plum Village Songs. This will give you a playlist of a lot of high mindset, positive mindset music that you can listen to as you're driving your truck. And in that same vein, you can listen to Dharma talks, or you can listen to wisdom talks as you are trucking. Okay? And I can share some recommendations for those on the TikTok. And I also have a website that you can look into, Bob, called monklife.one. And that's going to give you some good starting points and good resources moving forward as well. Monklife.one. Okay, and I think we'll make maybe a quick TikTok to invite some people to get in touch with those resources that we just shared. Okay, so here we go. Hello, my friends. I want to share a few quick resources that you can make use of on your spiritual path and spiritual journey. The first is to go to YouTube and search for Plum Village Songs. This is going to give you a playlist of some really positive, high mindset music that you can listen to in your daily life that's going to frame your thinking and your heart mind to be more positive and full of peace and happiness. Secondly, I want you to look into some recommended teachers that can give talks and guidance, and you can find them on YouTube. Thich Nhat Hanh, Ajahn Brahm, and Sister Dieng Niem. 3 teachers, and I'll add another one, Gabor Mate. And down in the comments, if you already know the names of those people, please put those names in the comments so that everyone else can easily find them. When you're looking for something to do, when you're looking for someone to listen to, make sure that it's someone with wisdom, compassion, and peace. Okay, so quick TikTok. We are doing the work of sharing out the enlightenment and Dhamma propagation for the modern people. Whatever you take in creates the quality of your mindset and your heart experience. Take in wisdom, take in compassion, and be ready to go beyond your normal way of being or consuming. Okay, so here in the lecture, we have our next person to come up, which will be Consti. Consti, are you ready to come up and ask your question? 22 from Germany to goal is to overcome anxiety. All right, let's bring you up. And you can let us know a little bit about your situation, Consti.
Yeah, so I'm a 22-year-old man from Germany, and I'm struggling with anxiety, and so that's holding me back in my self-improvement purposes and also like my life in general, because I oftentimes don't find myself in the current moment, like you mentioned earlier, and I'm sometimes just get too anxious about stuff. Yes.
So could you maybe tell me a situation where you would like find yourself to be getting anxious or find yourself to be having a problem with this feeling and try to describe what that feeling is, that feeling of anxiety.
Like if I have to make like have to talk in front of a lot of people, like maybe just like right now, or maybe if I go on a date or something, like yeah.
And what is the feeling of that anxiety, right? How can you sum up or describe that feeling?
That feeling,
What does anxiety
it
feel
feels
like?
like feels is threatening.
And that threatening is coming from in your body, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, Bob, I do appreciate you sending all these gifts on TikTok, but please, if you want to donate, you can go through the PayPal or um, Patreon or something like that because the TikTok takes like charges a high price for you to make a donation and support. So, just FYI, don't spend all your money on TikTok. If you want to make a donation, I have a PayPal or different way. You can send me a message to support. So, Consti, my experience of anxiety that I can tell you about is when I was a younger person, maybe around your age or a little bit younger, I, in general, my mind and my life wasn't that deep or positive. I didn't spend a lot of time giving attention to myself. I didn't know about myself very deeply, and I didn't have relationships with people who knew about themselves very deeply. So there wasn't so much direction for me to kind of face myself or heal myself. And I found that I would get into experiences where it would probably be a social situation or a place where I felt vulnerable or a place where I felt not fully in control. And at that time, my body would react. So I would have a feeling of anxiety in the body, maybe my heart beating or like an intensity in the heart, or maybe a feeling of like self conscious about my breathing. And then that feeling in the body would kind of directly link itself to some way of thinking, like a paranoid way of thinking, or a judgmental way of thinking, or just like a complicated way of thinking. And then there was also this urgency that I don't want to feel this way. I shouldn't feel this way. And it seemed that urgency would kind of pump up back and forth that thinking, that scared thinking or anxious thinking, and that feeling in the body. And they would kind of bounce back and forth with each other. So, what I learned is that through facing that feeling in my body and actually turning my attention towards the body when I was not in a threatened situation and kind of uh, strengthening my relationship with the mind and the body through meditation and through kind of a being with or a facing of my experience, my heart, my body, and just kind of embracing that, I found that over time, that feeling that will come up in the body and still comes up in the body if I'm not breaking my own heart regularly, if I'm staying with my precepts, if I'm staying with my meditation, if I'm staying with my like deeper intention and deeper direction in life, then even though that feeling comes up in the body, my mind or my heart mind is not afraid of that feeling. And that actually that feeling is a kind of reminder of my capacity and my ability to be with myself, to attend to myself. So in that sense, I'm not afraid of the anxiety. I'm not fearful about the fear, because there's an aspect of it that's reminding me about my power to embrace myself and to be with myself and care with myself. That power is there inside of me, and that this anxiety or
Interesting.
this confusion is almost a reminder that, oh, I'm here. And when I'm here, when I'm present, I can take care, I can heal, I can calm, I can be involved.
Yeah. So you basically acknowledge the feelings that you have inside of yourself, like the symptoms, and you just acknowledge them and deal with them. Or did I?
Well, it's more that those feelings come up, and then you
Yeah, yeah,
you you dare to be with them. You're willing to
yeah.
feel them, and not just like, oh, I'm willing to feel pleasure, because we're all willing to feel pleasure, but actually it's also not that we're willing to feel pain, because we felt pain, so we're willing to feel pain. Boredom, we're willing to feel boredom, but it's actually that we are willing to be with, not pain,
Yeah.
pleasure, or anything. We are
So
willing to be with, we are willing to attend to the present moment experiencing. We are willing to
okay.
attend to the present moment experiencing, especially in the body. We are willing, we dare to touch that. We dare to be mindful of the heart. We dare to be mindful of the belly. We dare to be mindful, to be aware of the body just in the state that it's in. So you can apply this in those anxious situations or in those difficulties for sure. You got that understanding, that mindset, it's good. But what I think can help you is to apply that mindset when things are kind of simple and stable and calm and whatever. So when you're in a comfortable, stable position and there's a little bit of spaciousness in your mind and in your life, just sit and breathe and kind of check in with your body. Be with your body. Experience
Okay.
it. It's like we have this very big, complicated narrative about our life, right? Our ego and the other
Yeah.
people and the social situations and the past and the future. And we know we can just bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. We could talk endlessly about it, right? All these valuable,
Mm.
all these valuable story elements that we have that we're so used to grasping onto and kind of using. But actually, even more valuable and even more real and true than all of these story elements that we find ourselves to rely on so often is this breath. And that's crazy. I mean, that's unbelievable. It's almost, it's almost not, there's no way it could be true or real, but actually it is. This breath is more vital. This breath is more authentic, true, whatever, than all of the story elements put together in exactly the right way, or the quote unquote true way, the most accurate way. So we don't need to experience that only when we're having a panic attack, right? Only when we're falling into this state of just complete absorption in the body's panic mode, where we're like, oh my gosh, this feeling and this body is more important than everything else. Like I'm hyperventilating. But actually, we can touch that right now. We can touch that
Yeah.
authenticity
Very.
and that truth.
Yeah.
and we can develop our relationship. We can reconcile the mind and the body. And we can start to firm
very
up and
greatly
establish,
worded. Yeah.
we can start to establish that relationship, right? To bring your mind back home to the body.
Yeah, very, very great words, man. Thank you for your advice.
You're welcome, brother. Keep going, and when we can get the message, it's all about continuing. It's all about opening up, and barriers do happen, and life comes and hits us. Life comes and gives us a slap on the face or a punch in the mouth. But when we have this capacity of mindfulness, when we have this capacity to bring the mind home to the body, we can continue, right? We can continue limitlessly.
Yeah.
And how do we continue? How do we continue limitlessly? Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing. See, you do it now. Now you do it, because it's just like if you couldn't take another breath. You're not going to be bringing up question, have an idea or, well, hey, let's talk about this. Let's chit chat, right? You can't breathe. You're not thinking about another question. And the breath is that, what they say, right? They say you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So follow the breath. This is the practice. Follow the breath. Breathe the breathing. No more playing around. Now it's time to work. You understand that? Breathing. Okay. Does anyone else have a question they'd like to ask?
Hello. How are you?
Go ahead. What's your question? I'm fine.
I have 3 questions. Why did you become a monk? How did you become a monk?
For some reason your microphone is piercing my ears. Is anyone else having that issue? Like absolutely just, I've never heard a microphone like that before in my entire life. Maybe I've got an audio thing on my end. I don't know.
Could you hear my questions?
Excuse me?
Could you hear my questions?
Yeah, I can hear your questions. It's just like there's a piercing aspect to the microphone. Anyway, one question. You have to choose one question. You have a short amount of time. Yeah.
Probably, how did you become a monk?
So, how did you become a monk, Bante? How did you become a monk? That's a fair question. Lectures. I became a monk by first becoming a Buddhist and a meditator. So I started to visit meditation centers. I started to visit the Buddhist temple. I started to attend intensive meditation retreats. I started to invest my mental action and physical action in learning about Buddhism and meditation and putting myself out there. And through that, practice, that investment, that giving away of my selfishness, giving away of my self-centeredness, I began to have experiences in the Buddhist community and in intensive meditation retreats, right? where I became a Buddhist and I became a meditator. I became a practitioner. And that eventually led me to getting so much value from Buddhism and meditation that I eventually, developed this mindset like, okay, I'm going to go and become a Buddhist monk. I'm going to move to Thailand. I'm going to move to Asia and ordain and spend the rest of my life living in the Buddhist community. So that's kind of how it went down. We've got some new people joining here, and welcome in everybody. I'm Bhante Warapanyo, a 30-year-old Buddhist monk and one of the leaders in this community, one of the mentors. This is your opportunity to ask a question to a real monk and get a real answer, hopefully a helpful and based answer. So please don't be shy, raise your hand, come up to the stage, and you can ask your question directly. Do you have another one? Okay, come on up, guys.
Question.
All right.
Wait,
Yeah.
Let me firstly.
Yeah, what's your question, Enigma?
So, Buddhism and stuff like, your beliefs. Like, what's the end game goal for it?
Okay, so Buddhism is about becoming enlightened. So Buddhism is about ending suffering. That's what Buddhism is all about. There's 4 philosophical truths or 4 basic philosophies of Buddhism. There is suffering. It's not something you can avoid. There is suffering. There's a cause of suffering, which is our desire. We're constantly craving after this and trying to avoid that. There's an ending of suffering. So it's possible to become enlightened. That's what we call enlightenment. And there's a path to ending suffering. And that path to ending suffering, like exactly how you understand it, that's what I'm talking about. The path to ending suffering is to become a good person, to practice meditation, and then develop wisdom, develop an insight, a deep understanding about reality, about life, through your deeper direct experience. That's what Buddhism is all about.
I really like the story of what's the the guy Buddha? Like, I like his story. Like, it's really beautiful.
We've got
How he,
to,
let go,
you've got to, the
realize.
main thing, Enigma, is you've got to keep trying. And we will find, as a young person, you will find yourself falling into this lane and falling into that lane, getting involved with this group of people and that group of people. But the main thing you got to emphasize is to keep trying, keep going beyond what you're used to doing, the kind of people you're used to being around, right? And also to be generous, to be good. Plant those seeds in your mind to be good, to do good deeds, to be a generous person, to be that guy who's looking out for other people and is being generous and doing good deeds. That mindset is at the heart of living a life that's based on freedom rather than selfishness, based on freedom rather than greediness or anger or being delusional. You got to recognize, every single one of you young men got to recognize, you don't know what the heck's going on. You don't know who you are. You don't know what reality is. You don't know what the future's going to be like. You don't know what the past exactly was like. And that's the start. And it's for you guys, it's even deeper because you're young. You have that innocence. So even to ask this question is like, you're kind of, you're being like a little bit phony, because you're deeper in the situation of not knowing anything. You're just innocent. You're just open. But when you don't recognize that openness, when you don't recognize that naturalness, you put yourself into a box that you don't need to be put into. So just plant a little bit of those seeds of like, wow, I don't know what's going to happen a year from now. I've got no idea. I don't know every detail about my past. Right? So that we open. There's no response to that. It's just the opening. It's just the widening out. It's just taking that deep, fresh breath and penetrating beyond TikTok, beyond YouTube, beyond playing video games, beyond your ideas or your stories or your words and phrases, because reality isn't words and phrases. Reality isn't a story. Your family isn't a story. Your life is not a story. It's not a book. It's not a movie. It's not a TV show. It's right here and now. And it is rich. It is interesting. It's very curious kind of present moment experience. What you say is not important. What you think is not important. Your response is not important. Open, open, open. Widen out that heart. Open that heart. Open that mind. Okay, assalamu alaikum.
So you're a monk, right? So you're a Buddhist.
I'm a Buddhist monk, that's right. And you guys can Google it, or you can talk with ChatGPT. What's a Buddhist monk? Why would a Buddhist monk be
So
on the
my
self-improvement server? These kinds of things. ChatGPT will tell you.
My question is, as a Buddhist, what God do you worship?
So in Buddhism, it's more like a philosophy. So it's not really a religion in the way that we usually say religion. So Buddhism is not Buddhism doesn't have a story for like how the world was created, or who created the world, or who God is, or who that there's a God or there's no God. That's not a part of Buddhism. Buddhism's a practice. It's a philosophy, and we don't want to get into the semantics of it, because semantics is just like word games. Like, oh, it's not a religion, it's a practice, or it's a way of life. I mean, what are we really talking about here? The point is that it's not what we usually think about in terms of religion. It's not another form of Islam or another form of Christianity. Okay, it's more a practice. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's about being a good person,
So it's not a
meditation,
religion.
and investigating the nature. Right. From that perspective, it's not a religion. Okay. Thank you, Giga.
Okay.
And
Thank you, man.
it's something worthwhile to look into, right? Because those things that we don't know about but kind of pique our curiosity or pique our interest, we should dare to investigate. We should dare to be curious. We should dare to explore. All right, go ahead, Jonas.
Hello. So recently, can you hear me
Yeah,
well enough?
yeah.
Okay. So recently, I realized that I have a few fears that sort of lock me up in certain situations, and I try to realize that they exist and acknowledge them. Um, the the scary part is that they are really controlling me in those situations. All other times I feel okay, and so my question would be, do you have any advice for uh, what I could do after acknowledging that I have fears that control me?
There is a present moment, and we should, especially as someone who's on the self-improvement journey or the healing journey or the growth journey, we need to develop our relationship to the present moment. Now, the present moment is not about breathing. It's also not about having a body. It's not about your eyes, not about your ears, not about your nose. Because the present moment experience, the present moment, we can say, is beyond a body. It's beyond a human being. It's beyond earth. This beyond is the essential point. Beyond, beyond, beyond. Wider than, bigger than, more than, shorter than. So what you think is less important, and you already have access to this truth, this present moment experiencing, but you aren't emphasizing it. You are emphasizing your thinking. You are emphasizing your story. You are emphasizing your the way you're used to doing things. So how do we de-emphasize the way that we are used to doing things? Well, we get a paycheck. We get paid. You are used to hanging out and sleeping in late and doing whatever it is you like to do, playing video games and eating cheeseburgers and just whatever. That's what you're used to doing. So how do you what supports you to get out of that, right? Well, you recognize something that has great value, and then you go into it. You go in that direction. So you were spending weeks and months and even years just hanging out, eating Cheetos and Mountain Dew and playing video games. But now somebody comes along and says, "Hey, look, I'm going to give you $1,000 a day to come and meditate with me, or come and put up drywall, or come and walk with me, or something like that." So what's going to happen very quickly at that time, Jonas? You are going to abandon what you're used to doing. You are going to give up the Cheetos and the Mountain Dew and the lounging around, because there's something of value that is accessible to you that you are naturally going to go towards. Not because you're convinced by that person, not because that the money itself it's just paper, right? It's just a thing. Not because you know what you're going to use that money for, but because you have a capacity to recognize what is precious. You have a natural capacity to recognize what has value, what is essential. So, can you recognize that your present moment breathing is precious, is essential?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can.
yeah. So we should dare to abandon. We should dare to detach. We should dare to give away our thinking, to give away our beliefs, give away our stories. But listen, this is one of the issues that we have in a modern society, is that we do not have much of a relationship with generosity. Our culture does not have much of a relationship with generosity. At least, I'm from America. So in America, we don't believe in generosity. We don't believe in generosity in America. We believe in greed. We are a nation of greed. The more greedy you are, in terms of values, in terms of what is an ideal, an ideal of the American individual, it's not to be generous. We don't care if you're generous. We care if you've got money. We care if you've got power. We care if you are wealthy. We care if you've got a Bugatti or a broke down Toyota. That's how you can navigate in this world. We don't care if you're generous. Doesn't matter. We're not going to help you out with healthcare because you're generous. We're not going to, lift you up as a community leader because you're generous. We're not going to give you a political position because you're generous. You better be generous if you're a teacher, right? Or we're not going to help you be generous. We're not even going to help teachers to teach, because that we don't believe in generosity in America. And that American ideal and that American mindset is very big in Western countries as well. And maybe it's a European ideal in some sense as well. But so, because we are not skillful, because we don't have a relationship with making donations, we don't have a relationship with giving away our possessions or giving away our money or using our possessions for others or for all. Because we don't have any relationship with these kind of practice, to give away our body, to volunteer, or to give away our mental phenomena, our thoughts, our beliefs, our stories, is very foreign to us. It's very difficult for us to do. Whereas if you can exercise giving away what is a solid, practical, simple, giving away, offering out, right? making donation, practicing generosity, making donation of your time. So this can also be some kind of volunteering, okay? Or you give away your mental action, you give away your physical action to someone else. But finding a way to donate, now you develop a relationship with giving up, letting go, giving away. If you can do it with your money, you can do it with your thought. Because there's a solidity here about this object. There's a solidity here about this object of your possession or your money or your tea or your car or whatever, right? It's the same with your thought. There's a solidity to it. So if we can exercise to recognize that solidity and then give it away of that solidity, because it's solid, because our clinging to it is quite solid and rigid, when we give it away, there's a realization there that it cannot be gotten back. And the very premise of generosity is that you are giving away. You don't, and it's that horrible term they say of an Indian giver or something? This kind of horrible Western imperialistic term of, you give something and then you want to take it back. Actually, it's an American giver. It's a founding father giver. It's a Holocaust, Western imperialistic Holocaust giver, where we give something and then we want it back. We want to take it back. We cheat, we trick. So it's the same with our thoughts, right? We give something away and then we want to get it back. We want to grasp onto it again. So we need to become skillful to give away. We need to become skillful to detach. We need to become skillful to abandon. And this is to become skillful to destroy, to cut, to finish, right? To end. But it starts simple. It starts just practical with doing good deeds, with practicing generosity, right? With making donations. Offering food, offering clothing, offering shelter.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it will actually really help me.
It will, and it also takes you out of this reality that is completely self-centered. Completely self-centered. It's all about my shelter, my money, my thoughts, my body, my mind, my life, my. And you wonder why everybody's, losing their relationship with reality, why their minds are unstable and conflicted and stressed, because it's not normal to be so self-centered. We are a part of a whole. And the whole point of this self-improvement community, or one of the main themes that we have here, and also one of the main themes of, my life as a monk and why I live stream and kind of doing community building and all this stuff, is that we're here to build a community. We're here to put ourselves in positions of leadership, right? I'm a spiritual leader, whether I like it or not, right? And I'm here to empower other people to be leaders in their own right. And what is essential to being a leader? A community. There's no leader without a community, and the community makes the leader. And the leader, that position is to be used only, to be experienced only for practical purposes, right? Where are we going to live? What are we going to eat? How are we going to cooperate with one another? How are we going to support the needs of members of our community that are not just related to coal, not just related to heating or something like that, or cash or food, but also psychological, emotional needs? How do we support one another? So the real self-improvement journey is to step, and the real spiritual journey is to step into living a more practical, community-based lifestyle that has as its core generosity and mutual support and non-transactional support. In the same way that we support children, or a mother supports the baby during breastfeeding. The mother's not writing down, okay, 4 quarts, 10 quarts, 20 quarts, in 3 years or whatever goes by, and now you've got 10 gallons of receipts for this baby. It's crazy. But actually, we focus too much in our society on this making deals, making contracts. I want to destroy all the contracts. But those contracts out there are expressions of contracts that we have inside of ourselves. Contracts with our desire, contracts with our fear, contracts with our self-centeredness, contracts with our ego, contracts with our trauma.
Okay. Thank you.
So what should you to do? Start doing good deeds, start prioritizing generosity, start getting involved, and we'll see what happens, okay?
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
All right, brother, take care.
Have a great day. Take care.
Okay, Cash, what do you want to say?
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Yep, sorry. Good evening. My actual name is Caesar.
All right, Caesar.
So I've been working on myself, as in moving forward from my past traumas. But every single time I think I've made it to a certain point where it's no longer going to affect me, I make a mistake and it immediately brings every single past bad experience I've had. And it basically makes me shut down.
Yeah.
And I fully understand I have to let go of the past because I can't change it and it's out of my control. But I simply do not understand how can I do it effectively, because I think I'm probably doing something wrong.
Good.
Or
this is
why
great.
does it happen?
Yeah, this is really good, brother. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay, we're about the same age. I'm 30. 28, so you're going to have a lot of willpower being 28. There's a lot of possibility here. First and foremost, try to recognize in yourself that the intention and the direction that's in your heart is something that you know about. Your direction and your sincerity, your authenticity to go in the direction of healing and becoming a better man, becoming a good man is clear for you. You know about that. You have a relationship with that. Many men in our situation do not have that relationship. Maybe they have less traumas or less unskillful coping mechanisms that we do, but or had, but they don't have that connection point to their heart mind. They don't really know deeply about, I want to be a good man. I want to heal. I want to deal with this, right? And that's their directing principle. Maybe it's for them, maybe it's greed or wealth or just some, vague notion of having pleasure and avoiding pain. So you've got something there. You've got the attainment of the intention to be a good person, actually. It's small, but you have it. This is a big, big deal. Really important deal. From that place, you need to start living a more meaningful life. You need to get more involved in life. Actually, the situation that we find ourselves in is not about doing this or doing that, but it's that follow through, it's that opening up, it's that wideness of our stroke, okay, that is exercising us and stretching us and moving us through this ocean of life. Now, when you're just piddle paddling, when you're just doggy paddling, you're not going to feel that expansiveness of life. And so the meaning of life is going to feel constrained, and it's going to feel quite shallow. It's going to feel quite minimized. And when you live like that, it means that you are going to turn towards dopamine focused activities. You're going to focus, you're going to go towards even traumatizing activities because there's stimulation there, because there's richness there. Even if it's the richness of suffering, there's meaning there, even if it's the meaningfulness of horribleness. So when we recognize that, we need to start widening out and opening out our strokes, our way of being, our way of interacting with community, our way of putting ourselves out there, our way of volunteering, our way of doing good deeds, our way of meditating, our way of listening to. I want to find a better word for this, because spiritual teachers is just not a good word for modern Western people. It's too vague, and it has all these connotations with spiritual materialism, basically like a
Could it be a mentor?
but it's there are high level people out there. It's just like the NFL. It's like a mentor is good, of course, and I'm here to be a mentor. I'm here to be supportive, but it's also to point to, like, the NFL is not college level football. College level football is not high school level football. And you've got to recognize it in terms of the mind, in terms of wisdom, in terms of compassion, in terms of freedom from suffering. There is an NFL. There are NFL level people out there. But because we don't have a society, the Western society doesn't value, we don't have an NFL for wisdom, we don't have an NFL for compassion, we don't look to our community in that way, we don't put those people in positions of leadership, we don't realize that those people exist. So you can look towards and you can connect with some of these high level people and listen to them and bring them into your life, right? And I'm going to give you some names, right? But more so, you need to focus on becoming someone who donates. You need to, how can I make donations? What does that mean to donate? What does that mean to give away my money, to give away my possessions, to give away what is valuable to me to someone else, right? What does it mean for me to do good deeds? What does it mean for me to volunteer? How am I going to do this? Because it's not just about you. And it's especially not just about your weakness. You have many strengths. But if the only thing you're focusing on is yourself, then of course you're always going to lift up your weaknesses, because it's not that perfect, complete, ultimate self, right? The self is so selfish that it only focuses on its weaknesses more than its positives, because its positives open up for more possibility, more change, which the ego is just kind of rigid, kind of tight. So how can you start to do good deeds? How can you start to volunteer? How can you start to be generous? How can you start to use what you have to bring benefit outside of yourself, outside of your self-focusedness? Now, if we start to live like that, meaning comes in very quickly. That's a meaningful life is a life built on generosity. The more success you have, the more generous you need to be. The more wealth you have, the more generous you need to be. That's it. There's no other way to go about it. Because if we don't know how to be generous towards other people, how are you going to be truly generous towards yourself? Generosity is not about what you get. Very strange, but it's very true. Generosity is not about what you get. It's about the giving away. It's about the offering out. It's about the release. It's about the detachment. It's about the putting down. Abide in the space of generosity. Abide in the space of offering out, widening out, detaching out, to finish, to cut, to end, offer out the ending, offer out the finishing. offer out the burning of all contracts, of all deals, of all agreements. Become a burning flame. And for
Okay, I
you,
think I have the
for
notion.
you, what is this? This spider here, curious little spider. And a big thing, man, is you need to be willing to put yourself out there. It's not about transaction. It's not about buying something. It's not about me giving you a course or a program or a link to something. Yes, I can do that. But actually, it's more about you opening up to your sincerity and your authenticity to try, okay? To open out, to widen out. It's not about some particular person or some particular experience or some particular place or time. You need to widen out. You need to be ready to go for a walk, to explore, to use your own conditions and your own understanding to go beyond your own understanding. That's the only option. I'm gonna put.
Yeah, I see what you mean now. It is what most of the trauma. I have to keep trying, and I'll just say thank you, and I'll let the next person through. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. And I'm putting a link right now in the lecture chat to a Discord that I run for people who join these lectures. So it's pretty dead, it's pretty inactive, but if you want to follow, stay in touch with me, then you guys can join that Discord. And sometimes I answer questions there, and maybe at some point we'll have an event or we'll do something there. But you've got to be ready to follow, That's the big thing. You need to be ready to follow. You need to be ready to support. You need to be ready to listen. Not about what you get. Not about what you can take from it, but how can you open up in it? That's where learning really takes place. That's where growth really takes place. But if it's that mindset of you getting what you want, well, that's what McDonald's is for. That's what Burger King is for. And there's no guided meditation. There's no teaching. There's no wisdom that's going to be better at you getting what you want than McDonald's or Amazon Prime or what have you. Isn't that right? You know what I mean? So you need to go beyond that mindset of just like greed and getting what you want and transaction. Actually, people don't only want to receive money. Like we always think people want to I work a job so that I can make money, so I can get money for myself. But people also want to spend money. They're looking for excuses. They're looking for reasons to spend money. They're looking for reasons to participate in transaction. I give you this, you give me that. This transaction, this 1-0, this desire and this meeting of the desire, this false experience of you getting what you want, or you getting something that seems valuable or interesting. You buy it, you get it. Generosity is beyond that, and it's more powerful than that. It's only the giving away. You don't get anything. When people, support me or donate to me, I'm going to start sending them a message, and I'm going to tell them, I'm not going to give you anything. Okay? You're not going to get anything from me. And that's a little bit silly, but it's kind of to the point that we give away, we offer out. And that's a way of being that we can embody right now. Not getting anything, not grasping anything. No gaining. And it's not that we need to absolutely be a monk or, give away all of our possessions and all of our wealth through generosity and, kind of find ourselves destitute. It's not about that. but it's to firm up, it's to empower this energy of offering out, of giving away, of supporting our community. And it can be quite sad when we look at how uncomfortable people are with generosity. It is uncomfortable, isn't it? Even for my, some of my like family members, it's uncomfortable for them, the notion of them donating to me or supporting me. They want to, what makes sense for them is them buying something. There has to be a reason. It has to be laid out to them. It has to be presented to them. It's like we have to trick people into being generous. Don't be tricked into being generous. Give away, offer out. It's an opportunity for you. And it's so burdensome to be in that position as well. I'd rather just let it go, So don't trick yourself into doing something, because that's always going to have that bitter taste to it of your trick. You're tricking yourself into losing weight. You're tricking yourself into eating healthy. You're tricking yourself into letting go of masturbation or some kind of habit that's unskillful for you or that hurts you in some way, right? For those who don't know, a lot of young men are addicted to masturbation and pornography. If you're tricking yourself to do that, there's always going to be that feeling of like, that pushback is going to come from it, right? But when you just open out and widen out, you recognize that I want to give away certain things because they are not supporting me. I want to give away certain things because I know that it brings benefit. I know that it is useful. I know that it will help others. So you give away, you offer out, you make it a priority to be like that. More and more and more and more and more. Exhaust yourself in doing good deeds. Exhaust yourself in generosity. And when can you start doing that? Only now, in the midst of the shit. In Buddhism, we say that life is shit. And the reason that life is shit is because we desire something else. So how do we stop desiring something else? By embracing the shit. By facing the shit. By using it. By experiencing it. For what? For doing good deeds more and more. For generosity more and more. For meditating more and more. For widening out more and more. Opening out more and more. For helping others more and more. It's not so complicated, but everybody wants to be their own philosopher now. Everyone wants to be their own prince and princess now. Everyone wants to be a wizard now. And we can do it because of the smartphones, because of the technologies that we have, right? But ultimately, we need to be ready to listen, be ready to follow, be ready to support. This puts us in an actionable place, not just a place of thinking, not just a place of believing, but a way of living an engaged life, an experiential life, not a life of thinking, not a life of stories, not a life of discrimination. Oh, I'm going to do this because that makes sense for this reason, and I'll get this return from it. No justification, no more thinking. The opportunity for generosity is there. Offer out, widen out. I have, one of my joys, one of my practices is I like to keep small toys, miniature toys, or sometimes candy in my bag. I always have a bag like this because the robes that I wear don't have pockets. And so I like to fill that with these little toys like this, little sweet toys. And then when I see someone or when I, interact with a child or something, you can give the gift. And you guys can do the same thing with money for homeless people or, you guys got to figure it out. Clean public toilets. I mean, if your parents' toilet is clean or if your toilet's clean, go and clean your parents' toilets. Start doing good deeds. Start doing actions of generosity. That's gonna be wonderful and powerful. Okay. So we'll bring up two more people here, Mr. Neutral and Gratitude and Fade. Go ahead, Mr. Neutral.
Hello.
What's your question?
I wanted to ask you for some advice to finding purpose.
And anyone who's watching on TikTok, we're also live on YouTube. So if you want to go over to the YouTube channel, you'll be able to hear what the young men, their voice when they ask their question. So if anyone's curious to check that out, you can go over there. And anyway, it's good if you check it out so you can subscribe. And then when I do other events, you get notified or easier to find it because the YouTube is the stronger platform for our guided meditations or our classes or our past recordings of events and things like that. So go ahead, Gratitude. Can you say that again?
Yeah. No.
Or no,
Mr.
Mr. Neutral.
Neutral was
Mr.
talking.
Neutral. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to ask you for some advice for finding purpose. If you have some
I'll tell you, bud.
experiences to share.
I'll tell you what the purpose is. We learn purpose through community engagement, introspection, contemplation, and having a workable philosophy or an actionable philosophy that supports us to engage more directly in our moment by moment experience, our moment by moment life. Now,
Okay.
how old are you?
17.
Let me tell you the crystal rule of life. There's the golden rule that we have in the Bible, Matthew 7:12. Whatsoever ye do to others, ye have done to ye self. That's the golden rule. I'm going to tell you the crystal rule. If you do good, you feel good. If you do bad, you feel bad. If you do basically neutral or, basically nothing meaningful, how do you think you're going to feel? Not meaningful,
I will
basically
probably feel
vague,
nothing.
basically vague and general, right? So we need to start doing good deeds. Well, as a human being, what would be a good deed? What would make sense as something that's like a good deed? Well, human beings exist as a part of a community, as a part of a society. We are the most communal species that exists, the communal organisms that exists. So doing good has the core of generosity. Start being generous. And Mr. Neutral, a lot of young men are in a situation where you need somebody to get a hold of you. You need somebody to give you a big hug and walk with you and talk with you and, give you a shake. I can't do that. But what I can tell you, Mr. Neutral, is that doing good deeds is not complicated. But you need to go beyond your ego to do that. You need to step out from this way that you're used to doing things. You need to step out from the self-centeredness, and you need to start offering out your time, your body, your mind, your resources, your money, your power, your freedom. You need to dare to try, dare to volunteer, dare to go beyond your barriers that you've set for yourself, not in terms of selfishness, not in terms of you getting what you want, but in terms of you giving away what you recognize is valuable, that you already have.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
And it's so sad because a lot of young men are just isolated and they don't have a community. They don't have anyone. They've never had someone talk to them like I'm talking to them now. Mr. Neutral, you probably never had someone talk to you this way directly, right? And so even though that person, someone is talking to you now, you don't really believe it or you don't really care. It doesn't mean anything because life is vague, life is general, life is isolated, life is boring, life is neutral. Everything's vague. Everybody's, basically doesn't care about anything and isn't willing to face you, isn't interested in you. There's no such thing as the truth. There's no such thing as reality. There's no such thing as peace or power. It's just all vaguity. It's all consumption. It's all complicated thinking. But that's not the case. So you need to be willing to abandon what doesn't work, my friend. I mean, what kind of insanity is this that the way that you do things and all the things that you have and the situation you find yourself in, maybe it's the job, the car, the relationship, the housing situation, whatever it is, the way that you live your life doesn't work. It doesn't make you feel happy. It doesn't help other people. It doesn't help yourself. And yet you're unwilling to abandon it. You're unwilling to even open your perspective that, wait a minute, this guy doesn't seem to be, like completely just bored and weak and, he's certainly not trying to sell me something. So, what does this guy want me to do? What could I do? Does he have a book? Does he have some recommendation he can give me? Some direct, can I keep up with this guy? Can I follow him? No, we don't have that. We just say, well, whatever, okay, get it over with. But we need to dare to abandon. We need to dare to give up what we think, what we believe, our habit energies, the way that we've been doing things up to now. We need to dare to change our life. And this isn't about you personally, Mr. Neutral. It's just an example for everybody, for all these young men. Okay?
Okay.
And you've got to bring some energy. You've got to bring some gumption into your life. It's cause and effect. What you do, you get back. The mindset that you have and the experience that you have right now, you've taken actions to give yourself this mindset. To feel like this. And if you start to take different actions, you will have a different experience. You will have a different feeling. And when we're in that rusty, crusty, tired kind of mindset, you need to walk out of your house. You want life to change. You want your mind to change, but you can't even go for a walk. You can't even leave your room. How is life going to change? And then people get, well, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to destroy myself now because life doesn't change. Get out of your room and go for a walk. What are you talking about? You're going to kill yourself. Get up and walk outside. This is what I'm talking about. You need somebody to get a hold of you. And many people do like this, right? They're working at McDonald's. They're making no money. They're watching, eating crap food, staying in a crap place with crap people, and everything's just not going well. Or even it's like good people or a good environment, but it's not working for you. And instead of being willing to leave those things behind, I'm going to kill myself. And it's not just people who haven't done work or people who are like low level, it's people all the time fall into this trap. Dare to abandon, dare to give away, dare to change your life. Dare to leave everything behind. Isn't that better than trying to hurt yourself or becoming an enemy to yourself? to just walk and take off that burden of this life that you've taken on?
Hmm. Yeah. I will try my best now.
You just got to walk it out, bud. You got to go for a long walk. There's no You need to walk out. You need to go out. You need to widen out. That's it. It's not what you think. You are not a professional thinker. You are not skillful at using thoughts. You are not skillful at managing anything. You don't know. So you need to stop relying on what you know and what you think. What you think is wrong. What you know is wrong. Your skillfulness is weakness. Your power is not having power. You need to detach. You need to abandon your position because your position is weak and unimportant and irrelevant. So that means that we open out, we walk out. You just go for a walk and you abandon your life. You abandon who you are. You abandon your thinking. Your thinking is not important.
And now I have to make sacrifices to get to the point.
Give away, widen out. Now I can give you some recommendation, Mr. Neutral. Go to YouTube. All right, Mr. Neutral. I'm going to tag you. Go to YouTube and search for Thich Nhat Hanh. Search for Plum Village app. Search for Sister Dang Niem. Search for Ajahn Brahm. Go and listen. Go and listen. Shut your mouth. Shut your mind. Shut all the things that you're doing and listen. Listen. Your time for thinking, your time for deciding, your time for understanding has come to an end. In terms of the intellect, in terms of thinking. Now, in terms of listening to the heart, listening to the breathing, listening to the body, and attending to yourself, that is open. But you need to listen and learn from Thich Nhat Hanh, from the Plum Village app, from Sister Dieng Yim. You need to listen to, let's go for the Plum Village playlist. Let's listen to a song together. Who's ready to listen to a special song together? If you are, then go to the lecture chat and react. I'm going to give you guys a super reaction to react to. Click on that monk emoji, super reaction, if you're ready to listen to a song together, a really special song together. If you're watching on TikTok, go to the YouTube so that you can listen to this song with us, okay? It's going to come through in high fidelity. And if you're on YouTube, I want to see some W's in the chat, or I want to see some smiles in the chat that express that you're ready to listen to this song too. We're all going to come together around this. It's one of my favorite Buddhist songs or meditation songs or healing songs that we're going to listen to together. Okay? Let me pull this up. And there's a kind of a music video to it as well. Now, this song is a little bit about that we get those sparks, don't we, Mr. Neutral? We get those sparks where we feel our heart shows up, our purpose shows up, our freedom shows up, our sincerity shows up, and there's an opening there. You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Neutral?
Kinda.
That spark of our heart mind, that spark of our direction shows up in our life, where we kind of have that space or that flexibility to do what we should do or what we want to do. Anyways, just listen. You need to listen. You don't need to think anymore, and you need to listen to the right stuff. You need to be ready to follow. See, this is the issue. I want to point out a very, very major issue for modern society. We have these separated, isolated families and communities, and we have young people who have never had a single role model in their life, who have never had a single mentor in their life, who have never followed someone or walked with someone in their entire life. Is it true, Gratitude Master? Does that sound
Yes,
accurate in some
you,
sense? It sounds a little bit accurate in some sense, right?
it's a growing problem. I
That
think
is,
the lack of
okay, thank you. Just yes is enough for now, okay? I appreciate you.
sure.
All right. So this is an essential problem, guys. We need to know how to listen and how to follow. When you're 10 years old, 14 years old, 16 years old, whatever, you're not a leader. You're not a thinker. You're not a controller. You need to be a follower. You need to be a listener. You need to be a learner. You need to be an opener. You need to have trust. You need to have faith that there are people who care about you, who are strong and who are compassionate and who are wise and who are living their lives in a meaningful and interesting way. And it's not about them serving you or having, being your diary. It's about you following them and knowing that their experience is also your experience in a certain sense. Their freedom is also your freedom in a certain sense. Their heart and their path is also your path in a certain sense. We are not so separate, you and I. All right, Mr. Neutral, I want you to stay for this song. Don't go anywhere just yet, okay? This is going to be really nice to enjoy together. And Swandi, you can go over to the YouTube channel so you can listen to this song too, because it's not going to play through TikTok. It's just going to play through YouTube. Great. Look at all these smiles and W's and all this. This is so nice. I'm so fortunate, so blessed. Okay. Got to open up one more in the OBS here. So we're just going to switch this to the picture-in-picture, Plum Village. Look at that. That's great. Okay, very interesting situation here. Okay, one sec, guys. I'm going to screen share so the audio is going to come through for you guys. Go live. All right, let's see. Is everybody, do you guys need to click onto that, or does it automatically show up for you guys? It should automatically be there, I think.
Yes, it shows up.
Okay. Here we go. Let's try. I'm going to put in my other headphone because this is so nice.
Today, the kingdom of heaven held a festival for thousands of stars. I went up to that kingdom, knelt down and prayed that the anguish, the killing, the disaster in our poor land would end. Where have you been, little among the dark clouds. Where have you been, little star? I feel so forlorn, like a small bird lost on a foggy island. It has been raining for night, late night on the sidewalk. I see the silhouette of lonely red forms. I try to call your image from deep in my consciousness, while the rain and the wind continue to rage. Tonight as I bend over my desk, my head in my two hands, the wind has carried all the clouds away. The sky is clear, the rain has stopped, longing for your call. I'm surprised to see you there, you have returned, little star.
I've been looking at the stars in the distance. I've been looking in my heart for resistance. I've been searching in the self for existence. All alone by myself, reminiscing underneath the Bodhi tree. But it isn't only me, you and I, collective energy. How it's supposed to be. I hope to be the ocean tide with my spirit open wide, standing on a mountaintop, see the world with open eyes.
I was so surprised to know that I'm a part of this. Sunrise, sunset, rain clouds, all of it. The journey of awakening, taking it with one step, one breath. Save all beings till there's none left. Suffering is painful, but I'm still the same fool, searching for the river while I'm swimming in the same pool.
Maybe we can find it, keep the light shining, walking on the path of ancestors behind me. If you could be the person who you are in your heart,
would you grow a little bit,
or would you play a bigger part?
Love is a paintbrush, life is the biggest art, and I'm still the same kid, wishing on a little star. Love is a paintbrush, life is the biggest art, and I'm still the same kid, wishing on a little star.
Little star, I've been looking for you everywhere, out of my window, among the dark clouds. Where have you been, little star? I feel so forlorn, like a small bird lost on a foggy island. It has been raining for night, late night on the sidewalk. I see the silhouette of lonely red forms. I try to call your image from deep in my consciousness, while the rain and the wind continue to rage. Dear little star, you have been through the storms, rain and wind. For how long and on what strange land have you been weeping? You've come back, your little body still shivers with cold, with tears in your eyes. You recall you've been praying for our homeland. Tears in my eyes, I call your name and feel the warmth in my heart.
Okay, so the wonderful Plum Village community of Thich Nhat Hanh, and this song is very much an expression. Yeah, this song is very much an expression of, for me, staying true to the heart, staying true to your taking care of yourself to the best of your abilities. It's also pointing to the brightness of your restart point, your refresh point to begin again, right? To begin again from the heart. Sometimes we find ourselves in a special karmic payback zone, or we find ourselves to be in an environment or in a situation that is weighing down on us, heaviness around us. We are stuck, we are trapped in that experience, and we lose our star. We lose our guiding principle. We lose our brightness of mind to continue and to open out and widen out. So, where have you gone, my little star? Where have you gone, my present moment, spontaneous sincerity to take care of myself, to change my life, to open my heart, to open my mind, to be free, to come back home? So songs like this Plum Village music is really, it's a practice song. It's an invitation to open deeply to parts of ourselves that maybe we have been neglecting, that we haven't offered our consideration to, our attention to. And so this is the invitation to nourish that part of ourselves that needs our attention, just like the body needs our attention, needs our presence, our heart, our lungs, the whole body, the central nervous system needs our attention, needs our consideration. We have to be willing to be with this present moment experience, and to, when the difficulties come, to use the mind, use our thinking in prayer or in willingness to try again, willingness to go forth, willingness to open up beyond the uncomfortableness that goes along with uncomfortable experiences, to attend to it rather than distract from it, to penetrate it rather than skim on the surface of it. Even those difficulties or special complications that come about, they are coming about to teach us something, to empower us actually, but we need to be ready to embrace those experiences. So we'll take 3 final quick questions from our lecture group that this live stream has been hosting. So please be direct and concise as you are able to be, and I'll do my best to give you a good answer, okay? So go ahead, gratitude.
There's this YouTube channel which is called Freedom in Thought, which is basically philosophic analysis channel, and he talks about Buddha and the Dhammapada, and he says that pain is bearable and necessary. My question is, if you can give an example or elaborate a bit on it, because I think it's important, but I don't know how to handle fear by knowing this. I'm still fearful, you know.
Do not fear fear. And the only way that you will develop to not fear fear is by embracing fear. And through that embracing of fear, through that willingness to breathe with fear and to sit with fear and to experience fear, there is immediately and automatically fearlessness. Right? We couldn't to breathe with fear if we were afraid of fear. We'd be too busy running from it. So giving our attention to that fear, being with it, that willingness to be with fear is the energy of fearlessness, or gives rise to the energy of fearlessness. So we need to offer that fearlessness, that freedom of fear to fear. We need to offer the freedom from being uncomfortable or being depressed or being anxious that we get from facing that fear, touching it, breathing with it, so that freedom from anxiety we can offer to the anxiety. What does that mean? It means breathe and be with it now. Through the facing of the fear, through the breathing with the fear, you will develop more detachment from fear. When you develop more detachment from fear, you can offer detachment from fear to fear. Through your own experience, you have to develop it. Okay? The more that we can face pain and endure pain, the more skillful we become at detaching from pain, even though pain is there. Okay. So something to work on.
Thanks
You're
a lot.
welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Fidi, what's your question?
So my question is, what is the secret of being productive, of doing the hard work, especially when I don't feel like it?
It's a very simple secret. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff. Once you take that first step off, game over. So learn how to take that first step off. That's it. Don't worry about doing the activity. Don't worry about the effect from doing that activity. Don't worry about you and your identity and that identity that starts to become consistent in doing that activity. Just take that step now. It doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m. It doesn't matter if you're sleepy. It doesn't matter if this, that. Just take that step and fall off the cliff. Start doing it right now. Okay? That's it. That's the secret.
Okay, thank you.
Consti, final question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so lately I've been having this weird kind of feeling where I feel like a lot of things that they aren't even real, like depersonalization, and it makes it kind of hard for me to meditate because I get depersonalized and it
Listen,
feel,
listen to me.
like,
Have you ever heard of Thich Nhat Hanh?
no.
Have you ever heard of?
Probably it's one of.
Have you ever listened to any high-level Buddhist teacher or Buddhist monk give a talk about meditation or wisdom?
No.
Okay, so listen to me. Take your depersonalized butt and listen to some Dharma talks. Listen to some wisdom talks. Listen to some compassion talks. Western psychology doesn't have a very nice track record. You know, so if someone comes up to me and says, you know, hey, you're depersonalizing, I'm going to say, oh, who'd you get that from? Did you get it from the guy who was lobotomizing people 2 weeks ago? You know, 20 years ago or whatever? Did you get it from the doctor who was giving methamphetamine to 10-year-olds last Friday? Okay, from a 10-minute consultation. So, you know, we give a little bit too much importance and authority to that Western psychological perspective. Of course, there's value there. There's nothing, you know, modern pharmaceuticals are not inherently evil or something like that. There's value there. And, you know, you can work with your doctor, work with your therapist, whatever. But we give a little bit too much authority to the Western psychological, psychiatric point of view when, there are different experiences and perspectives out there. And when it comes to meditation, when it comes to wisdom, when it comes to compassion, I've gone ahead and went to the lecture chat channel and I've put some names there. All right. I will also put.
I saw the Tischnut.
Okay, and there's also the app. That's not enough. There's not this mumbling. I saw Thich Nhat Hanh. Okay, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll take a look at that. But that's not just you. That's a lot of people who are quote unquote in the self-improvement journey. You need to have somebody get a hold of you and start shaking you up and put you in that right direction. You need to look up Thich Nhat Hanh, Plum Village app, Sister Jiang Yim, Ajahn Brahm. You need to bring up this mind of searching. You need to bring up this mind of curiosity. You need to bring up this mind of investigation, exploration, and penetration. Not just skating the surface, not just consuming, not just that fridge mindset, but to actually step into this, to actually go into it, to actually see if there's something that is richer and deeper and outside of your preconceived notions of yourself and the world, which of course there is. So take this as your moment to go beyond who you've been up to now and to explore. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
All right, my fellow Adonises on the path. Our lecture is coming to an end. And we've also had people joining us through TikTok, and we've had people who are part of my community, who have the Monk Life community, who've come across the live stream on YouTube. As we wrap up here, there are resources in the lecture chat channel. And also, and maybe more importantly, the recording of this lecture is posted in the lecture announcements. Okay, so if you want to look back at this, or if you want to follow along with me in the guided meditations and the stuff that I do online, you can go to my YouTube channel and you'll see a lot of content there that you can make use of. Okay? It's good for everybody. So, my friends, take care. Be happy, be peaceful, and don't forget to touch your heart. Let the heart beat and listen deeply. The heart also has wisdom there. Maybe for a moment we can put our hand over our heart. And we can listen to the heart as if it were more real, more true, more relevant than our entire ego, than our entire past, than our entire future. More wisdom, more truth, more depth to it than all of our fears and all of our desires put together, right at this moment. Just putting our hand on our heart and listening. Breathing and being with the song of the heart. That's all for now. Take care.